And I'm not okay. So Quentin has decided how many green shirts you got.
Uh, Probably about 20 plus.
Holy crap!
That's why I say
You
I'm
got,
always in green.
yeah, man, you gotta keep some t-shirts on you.
But he's got a lot of the same ones. It's like
Yeah.
I
Right.
saw this years ago. Now this could be entirely, and I might be using the word wrong. Apocryphal. Okay. So there are things that there are stories that people tell that are pretty much accepted as being true, but they're not. So like there's a story that I don't even some sort of quote. Albert Einstein believes that the human mind has a maximum capacity they can run at, and he doesn't
Hmm.
want to waste brain power on mindless on things that don't merit wasting brain power on. Right?
Hmm.
There's some people that I kind of apply that to people in my life. There's some people I don't have to waste time with, and I try to avoid them because they're just not good use of my existence. Right?
Right.
Sounds bad, but it's true, right?
Understand.
So they say, and I think this is something that came about because it was included in a movie. So whether or not Einstein truly did this, I don't know. They say that Albert Einstein basically wears the same clothes every day. Not the same exact clothes, but he basically his entire wardrobe is identical.
Yeah.
So
So
They
he
said that
doesn't
about
have
Mark
to.
Zuckerberg too.
What's that?
Mark Zuckerberg does the
Well,
same
that's the
thing
thing,
too.
and so does Steve Jobs.
Yeah, Steve Jobs.
See, people like that copied that trait from Einstein.
Uh-huh.
They don't want to waste time choosing what to wear. So essentially, their entire closet is the same thing. It's the same shirt, the same pants, the same shoes every day. But it's a different pair of the same thing. Like
Hmm.
Quentin has 20 plus green shirts. So in the morning he wakes up, doesn't have to put any thought into what am I going to wear. Just grab a green shirt, right? It's the same shirt.
But you know what? The Zuck has been changing lately though.
Well, because he finally realized he has money. I
Right.
mean, it takes some of these guys a while to realize they have money. And that's what's nuts, right? There are people, okay, so lifestyle, right? Now, people like Zuckerberg, as far as I know, that dude was never poor. I was,
I don't
do
think
you
he
guys,
was
I
either.
don't think he was ever like really hurting for money,
No.
right? I mean, the dude met his future partners and future frenemies at Harvard,
Harvard, yeah.
right?
He
So he,
wasn't you can't ain't a lot of broke people going to Harvard.
yeah. So he's not some scholarship baby going to Harvard, right?
No.
At the same time, he probably wasn't a trust fund baby either,
Mm-mm.
but he was going to Harvard. He came from he must had a solid background, right? So Zuck wasn't like hurting, but a lot of people have lifestyle habits because they grew up without money that kind of affect. There is a point in their lives where these habits help them to amass more money, but then they reach a point where it hurt them. Okay, Raymond, you and I know of a family owned business. We're not going to say it out loud who they are. We know of a
Mm-hmm.
family owned business that basically I mean they're like a high $1 million to $1 billion business
Yep.
that operates like a small mom and pop in a way.
Yep.
And I believe, see, they operated that way to amass because they didn't have all this money in the beginning. They built it. They really did build it
They
from the
built
ground
it
up,
from the
right?
ground up. Yep.
But a lot of the strategies, the traits that allowed them to build it I believe it held them back at a certain point in time. They could become much bigger if they would start spending money,
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
right?
They actually could be the
Yeah,
biggest.
they could be really really big. The thing is that they say, and a penny saved is a penny earned is true, but there comes a point in time where you got to spend pennies to make those pennies, right? And in their corporate culture, they have a lot of staff that are doing double, triple duty. Multiple different aspects to their company, and instead of a staff member being given duties in one area exclusively, they're I mean, it makes sense though. Like this person's here, they have some spare time.
Yeah, I used to be one,
Yeah, there you go.
so I
And
know.
let's give these people multiple responsibilities, right? And they a lot of times they give them responsibilities in areas they have no expertise in. Okay, so
Yeah,
periodically they'll bring in a consultant that has expertise in an area, but it's rare, right? They'll try to say, oh, we can learn that, and then they roll with it, right?
yeah,
And so, yeah, so Zuck, I think, is like that. So he's at some the dude. I know that he went to Harvard, but I think he's more along the lines of a, like, you don't want to say a broke college student, but he's not a rich college student,
yeah.
right? He was relying on what's the dude's name, Eduardo
Oh,
Saverin.
Eduardo.
Eduardo for some startup cash, right?
Yeah,
So like I wouldn't say he's like a ramen guy, but he's. But look at him. He built this company up, put all his time into work, and he's one of the brokest looking billionaires I've ever seen,
yeah.
right?
But
And that
but
may be
like we
intentional.
say,
That could be intentional, right?
no, he does the Einstein thing. He did not want to think about what
Yeah,
to wear, and he just wanted to focus on Facebook.
yeah.
Which, I mean, I get it.
I
Look,
get
he
it. Makes
built
sense.
Facebook.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But where it's, I'm almost like proud of him now is because
Oh yeah.
like, yeah, now he's starting to wear real
The
clothes.
dude got to
He's
glow
starting
up.
to work out.
Yeah.
He grew out his hair. Um, he even has a car in West Coast Customs. They tried to make a Panamera minivan where I was like, oh, he used some of his brain power.
That's just wrong though. Okay, so
It was
so the
wrong.
guy is finally embracing the fact that it's okay if I mean if he's if spending his entire life embroiled in growing out his business, innovating in his business was his thing, right? If that's what gave him extreme joy, more power to him, right? But a
Yeah,
lot of times they're just some guys are doing this because that's all they know, and they're not. We look at them and we don't think they're enjoying the fruits of their labor,
right.
right? Like I took an assessment of myself pretty recently, and I was looking at myself and saying, it is because I do work a lot. I tend to spend a lot of time research. I mean, I research stuff. I do a lot of consulting, but I'm thinking to myself, do I really enjoy the work? I mean, I do enjoy solving things, but is my enjoyment that I derive from my work as great as my enjoyment from other things? Right?
Mhm.
And then you ask yourself, if it's not, why am I working so hard? Right? How did I end up prioritizing more of my time working versus the other things I like to do? I mean, I have hobbies, but why is that question? And then you look at, okay, I mean, so now I'm trying to step back from working so much to try to enjoy other things, right? I mean, some things become more important as you get older. Like, for example, fitness becomes an important part of your life as you get older and you realize that you want to live longer and you're stuck with the body you got. So, the time when we'll be able to replace organs as they fail is not here yet.
Mhm.
And I'm really hoping I live. I mean, I'm hoping that we live long enough to see a world where body parts are replaceable. I mean, real body parts, not like, I mean, we have fake limbs and stuff now. I guess if you want to, they can grow an ear and put it on you. Is that
Yeah,
correct?
but you want him to grow a leg and put it back
Not
on.
necessarily a leg, maybe. I'm talking about like a kidney, right? Heart
Yeah.
failure comes along. I mean, true replacement, not some transplant that has a 50-50 chance of just plain working to begin with and may only last X number of years and you can't go stressful with it, right? We're talking like wholesale replacement and not from some parts bin. Like, okay, there's some death row inmate that has my heart. No, we're talking like they're growing you a new one based on your genetics, but they've removed the stuff that's making yours fail.
Like I mean, you don't even consider like something 3D printed
I mean, maybe that too. If it functions as
if it
well or
functions.
better,
Yeah,
and it doesn't inhibit. So basically, you're looking at a time where essentially, and it gets controversial at this point, where the human lifespan could be forever. right? So let's say, okay, so Raymond, let's say they could 3D print a heart. Now,
Mm-hmm.
let's say it's being 3D printed out of an inorganic material, right? So it's not going to
Mm-hmm.
age, right? So we're not talking about 3D printing something out of flesh. We're talking about 3D printing something that's not alive, right? So it's going to run in you, and it's an artificial heart that's perfect,
Mm-hmm.
right? Well, because were you think about 3D printing a actual flesh and blood human heart?
I thought I thought there was like 3D. Once 3D printing started coming out, they started talking about stuff like that,
Yeah, but
like 3D printing limbs
but
and
think about it.
certain organs.
They could 3D print those organs, but they'd have to 3D print them out of materials that would work in the body. And
Right.
there's nothing right now that allows you to 3D print a living thing.
No, definitely not.
So a 3D printed heart or a 3D printed limb would be artificial.
I think I think it's something that's way further down the line. I just look at like 3D printing is like right now it's a primitive thing, but eventually it could get to that point
Well,
because it's like
yeah, I mean, I think so too. I mean, think about this. Okay, so there are artificial hearts. There are artificial
uh-huh.
hearts. They do make those, right?
Hmm.
I think the ability to 3D print one isn't that far off.
Right.
But the artificial heart itself is still pretty primitive as a replacement organ. It's
Yeah, because
not.
I would think a artificial heart is like made out of straight plastic.
Yeah, it's an artificial heart, and I don't even think they have full.
Yeah, it
I,
probably don't
I
even
think it's
suck.
like valve replacement. Of course, we're not medical experts. We don't know what we're talking about. We're at this point,
Yeah,
we are like this is it's like a William Shatner style conversation about a future thing that
but we got a bigger concept of what we talking about though.
yeah, yeah.
We just trying to get to the. We're just giving the example.
Yeah, so imagine they could 3D print body parts. So like a 3D
Mhm.
printed limb would be an artificial limb, right? A truly artificial limb. It wouldn't even really look real because
No,
a lot of times trying to make it look real conflicts with the function of it. Because you got to
right.
make it work. You got to have the fingers open and closed to grab stuff. And to try to make it look real may not work with making it actually work,
Hmm.
right? So, but imagine a time where basically you could replace every single part of the body. Now, early on, they may be all artificial and might not look real, but at some point in time, if the question is how do you maintain the consciousness? I guess the if you can replace everything, only part that you couldn't replace would be the brain, right? But this is where we get into the AI conversation. If you could train an AI to think like. So basically, you have a computer watching you for 10 years, right? Seeing how you make decisions. It's learning. It's learning by observing you for 10 years and you are explaining to it how you're coming to decisions,
Right.
right? So the objective of this AI is to learn how to be you. Okay, so all its decision making at some point in time is in line with yours,
Hmm.
right? It will you will put into it all of your memories, right? Up until the point where you interact with it, you're explaining to it what's happened to you in the past. In the time that you're interacting with it, it is observing what you are seeing in the moment.
Hmm.
So it is recording. It's able to to record the memories that you are now experiencing because it's experiencing them with you, right? And I guess you could give it a narrative as things are happening. You can talk to it and tell it how you're feeling about what you're seeing. So it really is getting your feedback on a memory, right? Because a memory to us is not just a frame by frame recording of an event, right? It's how the event made us feel, right? It's how we reacted to the event. Okay. So if you can give a computer all that, so let's say you give it 10 years of observing you and it learns basically it's learning. Okay. And it's learning to be you, right? At what point in time is that thing become aware, become actually sentient? And that's the thing they're talking about now is like AI is not sentient yet. AI is
No,
still a machine. It can't really think for itself. It's not self-aware at this point in time.
I don't think it will ever. I don't think it should ever be sentient. Like it's like I finally saw Superman.
Oh, did you? Okay.
The new one. And you remember when they beat up the robots? They like
Yes,
when
yes,
Lex
yes,
Luthor
yes.
found the Fortress of Solitude.
The super
I think
bots, super.
the robot said something where it was like almost to the degree of I'm not here to be a real person. I
Yeah.
don't really think I'm just here to serve you.
Hmm.
Like that's just I think that's how AI has to always be. It should never be sentient. It should not have its
Well,
it should never be able to think on its own.
there's that thing, is that, and I know that there is people out there trying to create that, because the question is can something artificial like that ever be actually truly sentient?
It will become sentient.
No, I
Yes.
mean, no, I mean, it has to be. It has to reach a point. I mean, like, how do you define what is sentient? I mean, like,
Purpose.
the well, if it's purpose, then those things have a purpose. Those things are there to
But the
defend
thing
and serve him.
is where it becomes sentient, right? Because right now AI has a purpose. It answers my questions. That's what AI does for me, right?
Okay.
Once AI starts to determine its own purpose, that's when it becomes sentient. Like it's like Skynet.
Yeah.
It came up with a purpose to destroy all
Well,
humans.
not just purpose. Remember, a machine can have a purpose. A machine can figure out its own. I guess it's
I would
when.
say create its own purpose. Like right now, we create its purpose. I'm saying like when AI is like, okay, I want to go and I want to run a marathon. And it just decided to run a marathon. It decided to build its own robot to run a marathon. That's when it became sentient.
Oh, I know, because they say that they could. People are programming machines to think for themselves, but the reality is that they're not really thinking for themselves. They're being programmed to think for themselves, right? Somebody's telling it to think for itself. Okay.
Uh,
Where is So they have machines right now that you can interact with that seem completely autonomous. They seem completely sentient, but they're not,
uh,
because they were given parameters to think within, right? They're trying to make, they're trying to get it. I don't know where that line is where they've succeeded in getting this thing to really think for itself, right? There's that question. Where does it truly think for itself? Where does a computer designed to think like you? And I guess technically it can never become you, because it's a copy. It's a copy of a person, right?
yeah.
Okay. But it can become its own version of that copy. That's like, okay, so actually another hot button, cloning,
Uh,
right? The process of cloning human beings is banned, right?
yeah. I
They've
don't think you
cloned
should do it.
they've cloned animals already. What was that sheep's name? Dolly, was it? Dolly the sheep is a clone.
Uh-huh.
They've successfully cloned animals. It can be done, right? And I think Dolly was the first successful cloning of an animal. It is it's genetically identical to what it came from. Okay, but remember, clones don't just come out of this. Clones don't just pop out adult full clones, right? No, they're born, right? This
Yeah.
this clone of the sheep had to be birthed, right? So a clone created today of one of us wouldn't look like this until what, 50 for me and Quentin, 50 plus years, for Raymond, 30 plus years from now.
So it doesn't accelerate?
No, no, they can't accelerate the aging process. They don't. They can't.
Oh, okay. So it's just
So
like regular birth.
it's regular birth, and it has to be, if it's a human clone. I mean, that's the thing. So test tube babies are not gestated in test tubes. They are they are combined in a test tube and then implanted in a human, right? They have to develop inside a human being. So human clones, if they ever did them, would be birthed like regular people, and then they'd grow up, and then at some point in time. So let's say the best chance you have of seeing if it really truly worked, I guess they'll know it worked, is clone a 5-year-old, right? If you
Yeah.
clone a 5-year-old or clone a 3-year-old, in 3 years, you'll see if it looks exactly like what you started with, right?
I
Cloning a
mean, but it's
55-year-old.
like that defeat, like, to me, that just defeats the purpose.
What?
Like, even I until we just had this conversation, I never thought cloning was futile, and it really is, unless you're
No,
trying to
no.
be like, huh?
Well, think about this. Let's say that you wanted to raise a child that's exactly like you. If okay, so okay.
I would go raise a child.
Well, no. Think about it. Let's say that that you're genetically perfect. You're a 34-year let's say that you're a 34-year-old man who's genetically perfect. I mean, like, you pack on muscle real fast. You lose weight real fast. You're 6'3", right? Everything desirable, every trait desirable you've got, right? And nowadays there's a lot of single people who want to have kids, right? Single women can become single mothers. A single man can hire a surrogate to carry something, but they just have to get genetic material to make it happen, right?
Mm-hmm.
So right now, Raymond, if you wanted to have a child that's only yours and no one else can lay claim to it, you can hire a surrogate to carry it. You can provide your sperm, get somebody to provide an egg.
Mm-hmm.
And at that point, what they do is they search for people with really good genetics. They look for women, like you would look for a woman with really strong genetics. No disease. I mean, like, because you want the kid to have the best chance of getting everything, right?
Yep. I'm trying to get a tall woman that where I can have the next shack.
Yep. You combine your DNA with hers, and you'd put it inside this surrogate, but you won't know what's going to come out, right? Combining your DNA with someone else's DNA, it's a crapshoot, right? They could pop out this freaking 5'2" kid, right? You never know. Just because you're tall and she's tall doesn't mean he's going to be tall, right? But
yeah,
if you are everything you want in a child, you could raise your own clone.
And then be a single father.
Well, no. I mean, I'm not saying you should do this, right? But there are people out there who are doing this. There's a bunch of people.
That's why I'm like, yo, this is futile. You going to clone something that's just like you, just for you to be a single father.
Well, no. Well, imagine you've got okay. Let's say a married situation, right?
Uh-huh.
Let's say you want like 4 kids, right? Or 2, at least 3, right? Let's call it 3. You've got great genetics. Your partner's got great genetics, right? Because we're not going to assume that these people are married, right?
Right.
So you and your partner have great genetics, right? And we're going to assume a male-female coupling here, okay?
Right.
So let's say that you want to roll the dice on 2 of them. You have actual kids together. You're going to combine your DNAs and have actual kids, right? And then the other 2, you're going to go the safe route. She's smart. She's tall. She's hot. Clone her.
Right.
Clone you. So you have 2 mini-me's. So you have a clone of her, a clone of you, and 2 crapshoots. And the 2 might turn out to be pretty solid. You don't know. But you're hedging your bets knowing you're going to have a kid who's 6 foot plus because he's your clone.
Right.
You're going to know exactly what age he can do. I mean, like, okay, I mean, what's the best age for him to start a rigorous workout routine? You can kind of think back to your own background. He's you. Right? That's what cloning can do for you. You want to reproduce people who have... Now, of course, there's... I guess that's the physicality of it. There's no guarantee your clone will be you in the head. I mean, in terms of intelligence.
No.
I'm not sure about that. I don't know how cloning really works. None of us know how cloning works for a human being.
Yeah.
Because, Dolly the sheep popped out and she went bang. Every sheep makes that sound. They don't talk, so you don't know how smart it is compared to its mother or its source.
And you don't know because like how you just said, it doesn't grow rapidly. I think honestly, like you bring this up, I never really thought about it, but that's where zombies is gonna come from. We're gonna look up in 10 to 15 years of this clone being alive, it's gonna turn into a zombie and start biting people.
I thought about a clone, and what about the brain capacity of the new clone? When you say it grows at a regular rate,
yeah,
will it be as smart? Will it get the same education if you don't educate
It
it the
might
same way?
be
No,
Will
no,
it
no.
be?
dumb.
Remember. A clone is just a genetically identical copy of you starting over. It's
Okay,
not gonna.
I get that.
It's not gonna get your memories. It's not gonna get your experiences.
No, I get that. But let's say you wanted to be as smart as you were at a certain age, or at the certain age, you would have to make sure that it learned the same things you learned,
No,
right?
no, 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 no. Remember, knowledge and intelligence are two different things. Okay, it
Mm.
may be as smart as you without the knowledge of you,
Right.
right?